Hey, welcome back to the channel. I am Merl and I'm still working on the 68 El Camino. I'm so happy that you're joining us. If you haven't checked out the videos that lead up to this one, probably be a good idea. What we are doing is we're working on getting the install in this 68 El Camino finished, but we've ran into some problems that we're going to hash out, and there are going to be some other kind of short videos that accompany this. Not part of the series, so please check those out as well. But I need to get back to work. This thing has to run soon. It's hard to hold the balancer to get that. So when they put this together, I asked them to, well, the machine shop degreed the cam anyway, but I asked them to make sure that the timing marks were on and they ensured that they were dead on. So what I have to do is get this to #1 compression stroke, top dead center. And I want to leave it there so I can get the distributor put into this thing properly, and we'll go over that. So this is a Holley Sniper, so there's some easy ways to do that. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going to get this timing mark close, and I'm going to mark it. So I just use a white paint pen, highlighted timing mark on the balancer. Not a big deal. And we're nice. There we go. So I'm putting my finger in the plug hole. I'm going to back the motor up. I'll pretend I backed the motor up. Hopefully this works. So this could be on compression or exhaust. I'll be able to tell by, my finger. How about I put a plug in there? So I got a plug in there, just started. Hopefully I can hear it. Okay, so the plug is just in barely in there. And I went past the timing marks. So now it's just like putting my thumb over, I can feel the compression. I am coming up on the timing marks right now, and I can hear the compression leaking out. Like the plug is in half a thread, so you can hear the compression just leak out. Now what I want to do, they ensured me the timing marks are lined up, and I believe them. So I'm going to turn this so the timing marks are dead on 0. And actually, I don't know if you can hear it. What I'd like to do is maybe get here and see. It's really quiet in here. I'm gonna turn it past, so I'll just pull this plug out. I'm gonna turn it past so that we can hear it again. I'll try and be really quiet. So this has got to go 2 full revolutions now because I just went past the mark. That's just sitting in the top of the hole. So this is almost number 1 top dead center. Never heard anything. This is exhaust. Not sure if you can hear that hiss, but if you can't, I'm not doing it again because it is what it is. I have that timing mark lined up dead on the 0 where the machine shop already checked TDC, and that is dead on. So we should be good to go there to drop the distributor in when that time comes. So this was a dirty rotter to get off in the beginning, and you can see someone's really pried with screwdrivers and crap to get that on there. And so I'm going to avoid doing that at all cost. Try and just muscle it on, or if I have to, I'll take mounting bolts off, line it up. There. A bit of a workout there. Got her. And it was not, definitely was not tight when I took it apart. So I'm thinking this thing had a bit of a belt squeal, but I'm gonna look at what they got for ideas for tightening this thing. It doesn't look like this pulley setup has a provision to be able to tighten this, which is sad, but we will deal with it. Gotta be some kind of variety. They have. Definitely does not look like it. You'd think if they make a beautiful set of pulley setup for these things, they'd have a way, probably a way online to do it. So I'll peek at that because I don't want to mark anything out. Look from the bottom. So again, I don't know if that's the case with this hole. I don't care. I'm just gonna take the preparations instead of trying to dig in there with something to figure that out. So people use silicone on it, whatever. I care less. I'm just using a little bit of sealant, pipe sealant on it. So, and of course, spacers are falling all over the place. Come on. I need an extension. That's gonna wear my hand out. You can see that somebody else used sealant in there because she's a goopy. That one bushing's a goopy, so they might have chased a leak already with that. She's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. And I don't want to use an impact on a hole like that I don't know if it's the right depth or not. I want to feel it tighten up properly. So no impact there. This is the adjuster that we counted the threads on when it came apart. So right from one end, it was 12 and a quarter. So these here, we can mark them. They're pretty chewed up. They already have marks on them from someone messing with this. It looks like with a pliers or a punch or something. I don't know. So I wrote on there last time 12 and an eighth. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That would be an eighth right there. So how accurate does this have to be? Well, it is what it is. Feels good to me. It's where it was before. It wasn't slipping. Now I don't have to fight holding the fan. I can tighten all these bolts and the belt holds it for me. So because the tranny isn't in, I can't tie up everything the way I want to. I don't want to forget about it. And you get putting an engine in, and we're going to be waiting now again days for clutch and all that stuff. So the one thing that's going to be important to me is to write down, don't forget to do that. So I'm going to work order, writing down, hey, we need to tie up all the wiring and so on the passenger front. So you'll have to check it out. I did a short on how to get the distributor in, especially with a Holley Sniper. It's relatively easy. It's actually quite nice. But what I was going to do is put the cap on and wires, and I started looking close at this. Well, these wires are absolutely hashed, and they're kind of swelled up. The wires actually got some really weird swelling going on, and so on there. And on this side over here, we heat protected it. This is full of oil and it's all swelled and a bit cooked. You can see the bulging on it, but what's got to happen is we are putting new wires on, and these wires were really close to the headers. Issues with that. So what's going to happen is we're going to make up a set of ceramic ended wires, and we're going to solve the problems with all of this. So Yeah, so I'll probably do a separate video on making up the wires, and then we will get that in the mix. So I've checked and gapped all the plugs, and the thing about aluminum cylinder heads like on this engine, you definitely want to use anti-seize. Don't overdo it, and you don't want to put anti-seize right at the tip. If you're reading plugs, it can throw you off a little bit. So a little bit of anti-seize, not a big deal. Make sure you do it on aluminum cylinder heads. If you don't, they're gonna seize in there. Then you're gonna have some serious problems. Headers definitely make things challenging with burning stuff off and so on, but I mean, if you want performance, yeah, especially NA stuff, you're gonna need some headers. So I have this, my fave, it's a Mac swivel spark plug socket, and it's, when you're dealing with headers and pipes in the way, it's crazy how nice it is. You can't get them all with it, but it's a very nice socket. Saved me hours over the years. So I absolutely love that. And if you notice, I still haven't tightened the headers. Bottom end isn't together, but I still, when you're dealing like on the other side, I'm gonna have to deal with a plug that's nasty, and I think it's gonna be way easier with the header loose to get at it. I made up plug wires and put them all on, and in this car, because of the headers and everything and how things are, I use ceramic end wires, but I have the video on making the wires and getting the distributor in this car, so I just need to keep putting stuff on it. And so what I am doing is I am putting in the temp sensors, and you just want to use a nice little bit of goo pipe sealant on these. You can use Teflon tape, whatever. So this is the one for the EFI. And this one's got the factory one with Teflon tape. I'm gonna get rid of that. So this is cleaned up and gooed up. So the gauge is coming off the cylinder head for the dash gauge. And then the EFI is out of the intake. Now, it would be ideal if we didn't have to use a bushing on this. But anyway, no other option right there. These are huge wrenches. Please don't torque on these fittings. They don't need to be I don't know, the quarter ugga. Well, a little bit more than a quarter, so just want to give her a little snug there. And then the wires, of course, you want to route them really nice. So they're in this harness, I think. Oh man, I cleaned this all the oil off this, but this has still got oil coming out of it. Anyway, that won't fit in there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a little tiny zip tie underneath, I think. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. So a little tiny baby zip tie fits right into this holder on the wires, right in the middle of it. So that's pretty sweet. So we can have this all routed together, looking nice, and you won't even see how it's held in there. Oh, wrong size. Not a big fan of leaving the goo around it. So anything that peels off when you're tightening it, again, this in the past obviously had Teflon tape because it's still got some in the deep threads up here. I just want it to look nice. This is beautiful under the hood. We don't need any garbage hanging out around there. Alright, so I'm gonna get all the back stuff. Now, this is a point of interest, I guess. So this is also something that should be thought about anytime you're doing a transmission change in anything with the distributor at the back of the engine. So this engine's hanging here without a transmission on it, so it's aimed way back. So luckily we have clearance in here right now, but if I go and I work on getting this transmission in, I might be bouncing this back and forth. And the last thing that I need is to break the distributor cap or something like that. So right now, until I get the wires in, I'm going to loosen this cap off, just because this was actually touching the firewall and I don't want that. I don't want to have damage. Okay, and these get forced through when you do that, and they're all coming through nicely. Okay, so the thing that we want to make sure is we are not breaking anything. So that's on, good enough, but I am not risking anything. So I am going to pull the cap right off. If this was an HEI, you wouldn't even get it on. This is the one thing I don't like that Holley did with their caps, is these screws are not captive. So if you're not careful, they're gonna hit the floor. So yeah, just be careful with that. So this cap, when we go underneath, I'll take it right off. I forgot to put the studs in, and I don't want stuff to fall into the intake, so it doesn't matter whether you have that plate on there protecting it or not. Yeah, it is what it is. So when I put these studs in, I double nut them, and that way you can screw them in, torque them up. Now these are Imperial threads. On the bottom, these studs are obviously a Chinese stud because they're metric top. So ending up lots of stuff nowadays like that. Probably could have threaded that one in by hand. There's where the double nut comes in nice. It tightens up. So this is where you drop stuff into the intake. We don't want to do that. These studs are pretty hamburgered, and it looks like at one point in their lives they had some Loctite on the threads. So I'm not too worried about it. They're just little tiny studs. Oh boy, now I know why they're hamburgered. So the threads are clean, but they're Loctited, but we're Loctited. So I don't know where that would have happened or why you wouldn't normally Loctite that. These ones here are stuck on the stud. So whoever did it, it's not a big deal. You just got to deal with it, but I have to hold that with a plier to get that nut off. And you can see it was red Loctite. Beyond me. So this car didn't have a good crankcase ventilation system on it, so what I have to do is put one on, but I am not exactly sure how I am going to do that yet, because where I was putting everything isn't going to line up. So I may have to put a T in this line and do it a little bit differently. So we'll take a look and see what I can do with that. I'll see what T's I have. So the change of plans are I'm gonna T into a line here instead of putting what I had planned fittings into the intake and so on, and I'm gonna put a PCV valve back here and just put his old breather back in the front of the valve cover. Hey, thank you again so much for joining us on part 4 of this. I'm really excited about the next part, part 5. I hope you join us on it. I think you're going to like it because this thing is going to have some fire.